Potassium pills. That's where most seniors start when the calf cramp hits at 2, 3 in the morning. You reach for the bottle on the nightstand. You swallow one. You wait. And 3 nights later, the same cramp, same calf, same hour. Like the pill never happened. And here's what no one mentions. If you're taking those pills at the wrong time, or if something in your medicine cabinet has quietly changed the rules, that potassium isn't failing you. You're being set up to use it wrong. There are 7 silent mistakes seniors make with potassium for calf cramps. Not loud mistakes. Not obvious ones. The kind that look like you're doing everything right, and the cramps come back anyway. Now, most seniors believe the logic is simple. Calf cramps mean low potassium. More potassium fixes it. That's been the assumption for decades. However, a clinical review published in American Family Physician found that nocturnal leg cramps in older adults are more commonly tied to muscle fatigue and nerve excitability than to straightforward electrolyte deficiency. And the NIH Office of Dietary Supplements has made it clear, potassium is not something to increase blindly when kidney function or medications are involved. That changes the whole picture. Because if the cramp isn't always about a lone number on a lab sheet, then the bottle you've been trusting might not be solving what you think it's solving. My name is Dr. David Collin, and I need to say this clearly before we go further. Everything I share here is for educational purposes only. Always discuss changes with your own doctor before adjusting any supplement, especially potassium. That is not a formality. That is me protecting you. Because what I'm about to walk you through today is the kind of thing most seniors are never told. Not by the label on the bottle. Not in a 10-minute office visit. Not by the well-meaning friend who said, just eat a banana. Your doctor never told you this. But I will. The real enemy here is not potassium itself. It's the outdated, one-size-fits-all advice that treats every calf cramp like a simple potassium gap and ignores the fact that after 60, your body handles this mineral completely differently. The supplement labels haven't caught up. The banana advice hasn't caught up. And in the meantime, seniors are taking something that seems safe, seems obvious, and wondering why the cramps keep waking them up. By the time I'm done today, you will know all 7 of these silent mistakes. And more importantly, you'll understand which ones might be the reason your cramps haven't stopped. Not because potassium is useless, but because you were never given the full instructions. Let's start with the first mistake. And this one is the foundation everything else sits on. Mistake number 1. Assuming every calf cramp that wakes you at night is a potassium problem. It sounds so reasonable. Your calf seizes. You remember potassium is the cramp mineral. You start supplementing. But here's what that assumption skips over. The American Family Physician review I mentioned, the one that looked specifically at nocturnal leg cramps in older adults, found that in most cases, the cramp is driven by a combination of muscle fatigue, shortened muscle position during sleep, and age-related changes in how motor neurons fire. Not by a simple mineral gap. That does not mean potassium never matters. It means starting with potassium as the answer, before asking what's actually causing the cramp, puts you on a path where the fix and the problem may not even be related. Think of it this way. Imagine your car won't start. Someone says it's probably the battery. So you replace the battery. The car still won't start. Was the battery the wrong thing to check? No, but it was the wrong thing to assume. The alternator was drained. The connections were corroded. The battery looked like the answer because it was the most visible piece. Potassium is the battery of the cramp conversation. Visible. Familiar. First thing everyone reaches for. But the calf cramp has more wiring underneath than one mineral. And that leads directly into mistake number 2. Mistake number 2, trusting a banana or a generic supplement label to cover your potassium needs without checking what those actually deliver. This one is personal for a lot of seniors. Because if you've been told, eat a banana, you've been told the most oversimplified piece of nutrition advice in the cramp world. A medium banana has roughly 420 milligrams of potassium. That's real. That's measurable. But the NIH lists the adequate intake for adults over 51 at around 2,600 milligrams per day for women and 3,400 for men. One banana doesn't even scratch 15% of the daily target for most senior men. And here's the part nobody says out loud. A medium baked potato with the skin delivers over 900 milligrams. A cup of plain yogurt, around 570. A half cup of cooked white beans, over 600. The banana is not the potassium king. It's just the most famous. Now look at the supplement side. Most over-the-counter potassium pills in the United States contain just 99 milligrams per tablet. 99. That is a fraction of what a single baked potato gives you. And there's a reason for that cap. The FDA limited over-the-counter potassium supplements to that dose decades ago because of gastrointestinal safety concerns with potassium chloride salt forms. Higher dose potassium requires a prescription. So when a senior takes one potassium pill at night and waits for the calf cramp to stop, they've taken less potassium than what's in half a banana. And they think the supplement isn't working. It's not that the supplement failed. It's that the expectation and the reality were never in the same room. After 60, everything changes, and most people aren't told why. Not random, not harmless, not normal. Those are the three things your calf cramp is trying to tell you. And the first two mistakes, assuming the cause and trusting the wrong fix, are the reasons so many seniors stay stuck in the same loop for months, sometimes years. But here's where it starts to get more serious. Because the next two mistakes are not about information gaps. They're about timing and context, the two things no supplement label in the world is going to explain to you. Mistake number 3, taking potassium at the wrong time relative to when the cramp actually hits. This is the timing backfire I need you to understand. Most seniors who supplement potassium take it in the morning, with breakfast, with their other pills. Makes sense. It's routine. But here's the problem. Potassium from a supplement or a meal is absorbed, used, and cleared relatively quickly. It doesn't sit in a reservoir waiting for your calf muscle to need it at 2 a.m. So if your cramp pattern is nocturnal, if it's the same calf, the same hour, the same sharp contraction that wakes you from sleep, and you took your potassium 12 hours earlier with eggs and toast, that mineral has already come and gone through the system long before the cramp window opens. Does that mean you should take potassium right before bed instead? Not necessarily. Because that answer depends on what else you're taking, how your kidneys handle it overnight, and whether potassium is even the right lever to pull. But the point stands, timing matters. And no one puts that on the label. If that sounds like something you've been doing, stay with me. Because the next mistake makes this one worse. Mistake number 4, treating potassium as a solo fix and ignoring the mineral team it depends on. This is where the story deepens. Potassium does not work alone inside the muscle. It works in a balance with sodium, calcium, and, critically, magnesium. A study published in the journal Magnesium Research and supported by data from the NIH showed that magnesium deficiency can make it physiologically harder for the body to correct low potassium. The medical term is refractory hypokalemia. Potassium stays low because magnesium isn't there to help the cell hold on to it. In plain language, you can pour potassium into the system all day, but if magnesium is missing, the cell can't keep it. It leaks back out. The level doesn't stabilize, and the muscle stays irritable. Think of magnesium as the off switch for the muscle. Potassium helps the electrical signal fire correctly. Magnesium helps the muscle release after it fires. When both are present, the muscle contracts and lets go. When magnesium is missing, the muscle contracts and keeps contracting. That is the cramp. That is what is happening at 3 in the morning. Most seniors never connect this to that. Today you will. And here's what makes this even more relevant after 60. The NIH reports that a significant number of older Americans do not meet the estimated average requirement for magnesium from food alone. So while you're focused on potassium, the mineral standing right next to it in the lineup may have been quietly dropping for years. And without it, the potassium you're taking can't finish its job. This is not age. This is something your body is doing, and we can fix it, but only if you stop treating one mineral like the entire answer. So let me ask you something, because I think by now, some of you are rethinking the bottle in your cabinet, and some of you still aren't sure. We've covered 4 mistakes. For places where something that looks right, taking potassium for a calf cramp, starts to break down when you look at the details. The assumption, the food myth, the timing error, the missing mineral partner. Each one, on its own, seems small. Together, they explain why the cramp keeps coming back. And we're about to get into the 3 that carry real medical weight. The ones that involve your medications, your kidneys, and the question almost nobody asks until something goes wrong. But first, I need to hear from you. I want you to drop a letter in the comments right now. If you still believe a nighttime calf cramp usually means you should reach for potassium first, drop the letter A. If you believe you should first check timing, medications, And whether potassium is even the right fix, drop the letter B. I read every single comment personally. Let me know below. And now here's the part I've been building toward. Mistake number 5. Ignoring how your medications change the potassium equation completely. This is where it gets dangerous. And I mean that seriously. If you are taking an ACE inhibitor, drugs like lisinopril or enalapril, or an ARB like losartan or valsartan, these medications can cause the body to retain potassium rather than flush it. That's how they're designed. They protect the kidneys and lower blood pressure in part by altering how potassium is handled. Now add a potassium supplement on top of that, or a potassium-sparing diuretic like spironolactone or eplerenone, or even something as seemingly harmless as a salt substitute, many of which replace sodium chloride with potassium chloride. The NIH Office of Dietary Supplements specifically warns that combining these with supplemental potassium raises the risk of hyperkalemia, too much potassium in the blood. And hyperkalemia is not a cramp. It's a cardiac risk. Everything I've told you so far is real, and it matters. But there is something underneath all of it that changes the whole picture, something almost no one talks about. And once you understand it, you will never look at that potassium bottle the same way again. The real issue after 60 is not whether you're taking potassium. It's whether potassium is the right answer for this cramp pattern in this body at this stage of life. Potassium seems to fail, not because the label lied, but because timing changed, mineral balance shifted, medications rewrote the rules, or kidney function quietly altered how that potassium is processed. It's a context failure, not an intake failure. That distinction is everything. Because as long as you're asking, am I taking enough? You're asking the wrong question. The right question is, can my body use what I'm taking safely at this dose, at this time, with these medications, with these kidneys? I'm telling you this because nobody else in this space will. Which brings me to mistake number 6, and this one is quiet. Dangerously quiet. Mistake number 6. Assuming that because potassium is sold over the counter and found in food, it must be safe for everyone. After 60, kidney function changes. Not dramatically in every person, not always with symptoms, but the CDC and the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases report that more than 1 in 3 adults over 65 in the United States has some degree of chronic kidney disease. Many don't know it. This is for educational purposes only, and I want to be very clear about this. Always discuss any potassium change with your own doctor, especially if you haven't had kidney function checked recently. This is not about fear. It's about knowing what your body can handle right now. When kidney filtration declines, the kidneys become less efficient at clearing excess potassium from the blood. That means the same supplement dose that was fine at 55 might accumulate differently at 68. And if blood work hasn't been done in a while, the assumption of safety is just that, an assumption. What if the problem was never low potassium in the first place? What if the calf cramp was always trying to tell you something broader, about mineral balance, about medication effects, about a kidney that processes things a little differently now? That is the real story behind mistake number 7. Mistake number 7. Chasing more potassium instead of asking why the cramp pattern exists in the first place. This is the mistake that holds all the others together, because every one of the first 6 mistakes feeds into this one. The senior who assumes the cramp means low potassium, who trusts the banana or the 99 milligram pill, who takes it at the wrong hour, who never checks magnesium, who doesn't realize the blood pressure medication changed the rules, who hasn't had kidney labs in 2 years. That senior isn't careless. They're doing what they were told. The information just never caught up. And the cramp keeps coming back. Not because the body is broken, because the approach was built on an incomplete picture. So here's what I want you to walk away with today. Not a new supplement to buy, not a food to panic about. A framework, a way of thinking about this that protects you. First, identify when the calf cramp happens and what you took or ate before it. Write it down if you can. The pattern is more useful than the symptom. If the cramp hits at 2 a.m. and you took your potassium at 8 in the morning, that's a timing clue. If it hits on the nights you skipped your evening meal, that's a nutrition clue. The cramp is speaking. Start listening to when it speaks. Second, before you add potassium or increase your dose, review your medication list and your kidney status with your doctor. Not because potassium is dangerous for everyone, but because after 60, the context around potassium shifts. And only your labs and your medication list can tell you whether supplementing is safe, unnecessary, or something that needs to be monitored. The NIH is clear on this. ACE inhibitors, ARBs, potassium-sparing diuretics, certain antibiotics like trimethoprim, all of these change the potassium math. Third, stop treating potassium like a standalone fix. If magnesium is low, and for many older Americans, it is, then potassium alone cannot finish the job. The cell can't hold it. The muscle stays excitable. A 2003 review in the journal Magnesium Research confirmed that magnesium repletion is often necessary before potassium correction can even take effect. They work as a pair. Ignoring one while chasing the other is like locking one side of the door and leaving the other wide open. Fourth, and this is the one I hope you remember longest, bring the pattern to your doctor, not just the symptom. Don't walk in and say, I have calf cramps. Walk in and say, I have calf cramps at this hour, after this meal, while taking these medications, and here's what I've tried. That conversation is a completely different conversation. It gives your doctor something to work with. It moves you from guessing to understanding. Most seniors never connect this to that, but you just did. And I want you to notice something. I haven't told you to take more of anything. I haven't handed you a shopping list. What I've handed you is a way to stop the guessing loop. The one where you try a pill, it doesn't work, you try a food, the cramp comes back, and you start to wonder if this is just what aging feels like. It's not. This is not age. This is something your body is doing, and we can fix it, but only with the right information, the right timing, and the right conversation with your doctor. That's the difference between taking potassium and understanding potassium. Between swallowing a pill and actually knowing whether that pill belongs in your plan right now. Let me tell you what all 7 mistakes have in common. Every single one of them comes from the same place. A world where potassium advice was built for a younger body, a simpler medication list, and a set of kidneys that didn't need to be part of the conversation. After 60, all 3 of those things change, and the advice never updated. So the next time you look at that bottle, or the next time someone tells you to just eat a banana, you'll know what to ask. Not, how much should I take? But is this the right move for me, right now, given what else is happening in my body? That question is worth more than every potassium pill on the shelf. Before I let you go, there's one more thing, and this might be the most important part of everything I've said today. If potassium seems to help for a day or two, and then the cramps come right back, that is often the clearest clue that the bottle was never the whole story. The cramp returning is not failure. It's information. It's your body telling you there is another piece still missing. Now that you know potassium is not the whole story, there's something else happening in the body after 60 that can keep the muscle from settling at night, even when potassium intake looks fine. It involves the foods you're eating or not eating, and most seniors have no idea how directly this connects to whether the calf finally relaxes or tightens all over again. I cover exactly that in the next video. Watch it now.